quite low, but she accepted and made the point that the judges' hands are tied. Just to remind you, you are watching BBC News, to remind you of the sentences that are being handed down. Gary Dobson, a minimum term, 15 years and 2 months. David Norris, 14 years and 3 months. That, of course, to remind you, because they were teenagers at the time of the murder. I'm joined by the Reverend Jesse Jackson, of course so well known for his work in civil rights over many decades. Joining us, I believe you are in East London, or Central London, Jesse Jackson, over in Britain at the moment. Thank you for being with us.
We're here at the occupied site at St. Paul Church talking about this issue, among other issues of inequality and injustice.
Has some justice been served in the last 48 hours in regards to the Stephen Lawrence case?
It is not. One would have to wonder what would have happened if 5 young black men had engaged in a heinous act of racist terror against a young white man 19 years ago. Would it have taken this long? Justice delayed is justice denied. They walked the streets 19 years free. So they were teenagers when they killed him. They lived virtually a full life. And so as opposed to justice being swift and sure, justice is late and incomplete, because these 2 young men must not be seen as trophies. We got the crisis. There are 3 others on the loose. They've been killing since the Steve Lawrence killing. But beyond that, they have been on the incubation. Their own community have been incubated and protected them for 19 years. And so it raises real questions for the whole society.
That's an interesting point, because members of the police, members of the criminal process have been making the point that there are people who have never come forward. There were people who know things about what went on in that part of southeast London 18 and a half years ago, who have not gone to the police. And what does that tell us?
Emmett Till was killed in the U.S. And Meg Evans was killed. For nearly 40 years, those who killed them walked the streets of America in Mississippi free. And it was widely known but conspiracy reflected upon everybody. And I say in Britain, a society so great as this one, the Olympics are coming here this year really. The whole world is watching. So how these 2 are handled, how the 3 who are on the loose are handled, and other subsequent cases. The case last in Tottenham was triggered a riot in the society. These is the inequality gaps in criminal justice, education, healthcare, employment, all very connected and varying forms of violence.
Interesting that you talk about inequality gaps, but what do you say, first of all, to anyone following this coverage today in that part of London who knows something, who for whatever reason have never told the police what they saw, what they know? Is it too late?
It is not too late. I think that's the burden that is even as significant as sentencing these 2 young men is today. Those who know that other killers ought expose it now. It's not too late to confess and tell the truth, and let it be known that where you live is not an incubator for terrorism. In this society, it's illegal to incubate terrorism. This is a heinous act of racial terror, and justice should be a deterrent to these kind of acts and not in some way a form of protection. And I think that when I look at the police department makeup, there's a regression in black police in higher places. There must be now renewed commitment to vertical and horizontal involvement of women and blacks in the police department, but also among the judges, among the jurors. It's really an opportunity to turn the crisis into a plus if, in fact, we learn enough from this crime to, in fact, make it very clear that there'll be no tolerance of these kinds of acts of racial terrorism.
Well, you make an interesting point about the makeup of the Metropolitan Police, because one of the advisors to the Macpherson inquiry spoke to us in the last hour, and he said actually great strides have been made in terms of getting more women into the force, but not in terms of getting more BME, black and minority ethnic recruits into the force. Why do you think that is?
Well, the reason why the women part is important, if two men go and handle a domestic violence situation, two men, they tend to take the side of the man as opposed to being sensitive to the woman. So a male and a female is an asset in that situation. Or you have another situation where you have a black and a white in a police car. They tend to modify each other's behavior. Besides, it's just the right thing to do to have a racial makeup and gender makeup vertical and horizontal in the police department, but also among judges and jurors as well. 19 years is a long time for they have walked for, and they were caught really by a drop of blood and a strand of hair. But there was more evidence than that. It suggests there's been a cover-up for a long time by some police.
Reverend Jesse Jackson, we must let you go for now. Thank you very much for your time here. Thanks for being with us on BBC News.
Thank you
the
very
Reverend
much.
Jesse Jackson, who has fought for civil rights, of course, in the United States for such a long time, currently over here in the UK, as you saw, speaking to us from central London. For now, we will return to the 1 o'clock news and hear from Doreen Lawrence.
I think how the judge started off his statement today, that I was really pleased about that, because I think he recognised the stress and stuff we've gone through in the past 18 years, and also he recognised the men who were involved in Stephen's murder and what they've done, and you know there's no hiding behind their ages. I've had a lot of support from everybody, from the press included, and I think I just wanted to say thank you all. The sentences that happened, it may be quite low, but at the same time the judge's hands were tied, and for that and for as much as he can do, I was very grateful. So I just wanted to come and just say thank you to everybody for all this stuff and all the support that we've had over the years.
The parents of Stephen Lawrence speaking in the last few minutes. Well,